Ben Carson made some comments about poverty that are getting a lot of attention. Let's see what he had to say.
I think poverty, to a large extent, is also a state of mind. You take somebody who has the right mindset, you can take everything from them and put them on the street, and I guarantee you, in a little while, they'll be right back up there. And you take somebody with the wrong mindset, you can give them everything in the world. They'll work their way back down to the bottom.
Now, when I first saw the headlines about this, they were basically Ben Carson, quote, "Poverty is a state of mind." Like, as if that's the full context. And I was like, ugh, there goes Ben again with the dumbest fucking things anybody's ever said. But then when you listen to the full context, you go, oh, it's a little different than the way it was portrayed of just like, poverty is a state of mind, full stop. It's not that. But to what he's saying in full context, what do we make of it? I think it's like partly true, partly bullshit. So let me explain. The part that's true is, yeah, if you're a go-getter and you really bust ass and you work hard, of course, you're much more likely to make it, whatever making it means. Hey, I got the job that I've always wanted, or hey, I ended up making, I don't know, 6 figures or some shit. But that's like, I feel like that's one of those things where kind of everybody's like, yeah, and like, duh. So one of the components to making it is hard work. Like, everybody kind of gets that. And when, I don't know, when people on the right kind of stress that point, I feel like there's an underlying assumption of like, well, obviously I'm one of few people who gets that. And like, everybody else is sitting around all day eating Cheetos going, man, I'm supposed to be rich even though I'm eating Cheetos and watching reruns of the Brady Bunch. Like, no, everybody kind of gets that hard work thing, and that you're much more likely to make it if you work hard, of course. So that's the part that's true, but that's like kind of like a duh thing. Like, okay, you want to make it to the NFL, you better fucking bust ass and practice and start from when you're young. You want to be a pro golfer, you better start from when you're young, practice, get good. You want to make it to, I don't know, be an executive of some corporation, you better know your shit when it comes to, I don't know, numbers, business. But then here's the part where he's wrong. These guys always overstate the hard work angle. So in other words, they say, hard work and you make it, and that's it. Like, all you gotta have is hard work, and that's it, you're gonna make it. But that's actually objectively not true. So, for example, oftentimes, like during the height of the Great Recession, there were more people than job openings. So the math doesn't work. It doesn't matter how hard you work, how much you want it, there's not enough jobs for the people. Furthermore, there are people who've busted ass and worked hard their whole lives, and they've been in a minimum wage job, and they can barely keep the fucking lights on, and they're relying on government assistance, and they're really quality people who, you know, care about their family and really put in the time and the effort and doing everything they can, checking all the right boxes, and still at the end of the day, they don't make it. Because that's the nature of the system. Not everybody can get the promotion. Not everybody can be the CEO. Not everybody can be the sports star. But they make it seem like if you work hard, you'll get it. That's not true, and you're fucking lying to people when you say that. Yes, hard work is a big component of making it. But there's a million other factors too, including nepotism. Hey, do you know the right people? Hey, were you born into a family that's well off? Because the statistics show if you're born into a family that's well off, you're much more likely to stay well off. If you're born into a poorer family, you're much more likely to stay poor. Canada, the Canadians, have beaten us in the American dream category of social mobility and economic mobility. So if you're born in a poor family in Canada, you're more likely to make it into a higher rung of the economic ladder. So it's kind of like a childish view. Like, the argument he's making is, we live in a meritocracy and that's it. If I take everything from you, but you're a hard worker, you'll make it. If I give everything to you, but you're not a hard worker, you won't make it. No, there's many people who are mega rich who don't do dick, who do nothing, who are fucking Paris Hiltons, who are born into a family that have a tremendous amount of money and they can sit on their ass all day, every day and try to blow money all day and still not work their way through all their goddamn money. That's a thing that exists. Legacy money is a thing. The opposite is true too. Poor people who try to work from the bottom up, but they don't catch the breaks that they need. They don't know the right people, so they're working really hard and they're stuck on that bottom rung of the ladder. And again, selling the myth of the meritocracy is a way to take your current financial situation and morally judge you as a result of it. That's what's happening here. So they go, oh, you're poor? Well, there's certainly no macroeconomic factors that we could point to and extenuating circumstances that we can point to. And there's no giant context to why you're in this situation. It's all on you. All of it. All of it. So you're stuck at a minimum wage job. You're just lazy. You're rich. You must be a good person. You must have worked really hard. Because nobody's rich by, cheating the system, rigging the game, like so many are in America, because we have rich people buy politicians to bias policy in their favor, whether it's tax policy or regulatory policy or subsidies. So, yeah, he's mostly wrong. There's a grain of truth, but that grain of truth is so duh, you don't even have to bring it up. That, yeah, you're much more likely to make it if you work hard, of course. But the rest of it is basically trying to pretend we're already in a meritocracy so that, you blame you for whatever current situation you're in that could quite literally be out of your control. Hey, Ben, half the country, 50%, makes $30,000 a year or less. Ben would say that half is just lazier. That's what he'd say. Ben would have to tell you, if he's being consistent, hey, you know how in like a few months, we went from having an unemployment rate of like 4% or 5% and it shot up to like 11% in the Great Recession? Ben would have to say, yeah, in that few month period, millions upon millions and millions of people decided, I'm going to be more lazy now. Because again, to him, macroeconomic factors, extenuating circumstances, all the context, irrelevant. It's all on you. So you got fired by your boss because of a giant downturn in the economy, because of a bubble that burst. Somehow it's your fault. You can't point to the other factors. You can't point to context. You can't point to culture. You can't point to systemic poverty. You can't point to a rigged system. Everything's on you. And if you don't immediately make it and be super successful, then, you just look in the mirror because you're immoral and you're a worse person than those who are rich. That's at the core of what he's saying, which is why he's mostly incorrect. And poverty is not just a state of mind. It's a lot more than just a state of mind. We have a system that perpetuates it. Stop and think about what he really is saying also. He says poverty is a state of mind, but we don't even have a living wage in the country. So that means you work a full-time job. That means you're doing your part. You're working a full-time job. And you still don't make enough money to afford basic necessities. So how can you say poverty is a state of mind and hey, it's all on you, when we don't even reward full-time work with a living wage? I mean, that's crazy. That's mental. If you work full-time, you should make enough money to survive. You should get a living wage. But he doesn't want to talk about the real systemic flaws and the things we have to fix at a policy level and at a governmental level. Again, he just wants to say, no matter what, I'm not going to look at any other factors. It's just all on you, no matter what. So even if you work full-time, even if you work 2 jobs and you're still in poverty, well, still somehow you're lazy or you're immoral or you don't want it enough or something. That's just not accurate.